Okay. Hello to the Foundational Infrastructure Working Group meeting on 24th of April. So let's check the agenda first. So we have PRs. Yeah, then let's continue with the PRs. Pending merge. What's the situation here? We have one approval. Do we wait for a second one here? Or
It's a docs change.
remove updated docs? Yeah.
Let's just go with it.
Okay, yeah, I see. Okay, next one, add GitHub actions for Lint. To failing checks, most probably we have to check the failing.
This actually I could use some help with. I think this is passing in Concourse CI, and it's failing in GitHub Actions, and I have limited Windows experience, and I I will eventually get to the point of reinvestigating this, but it's pretty low on my stack. So if anybody has experience with Windows and or Go Cigar and might be able to understand what's happening here, that would be super helpful.
We also don't have on our side, we don't deploy on Windows.
Yeah, as a team, we have Windows testing infrastructure, but we don't do a lot of actual Windows deployment.
Okay.
Yeah, this can probably just hang out until somebody figures it out, or me in weeks or so. I'll try to keep the branch up to date in the meantime.
Actual error.
It doesn't show the actual failures, right?
No.
If you click on the run up there on line 1, it might.
Go cigar run. This is this not the actual error?
No, on that point, on that arrow.
There's a disclosure triangle right at line 1. Nope, I guess there's not more information there. Okay.
Okay.
We have seen cases of Golang Ginkgo swallowing errors on Windows and in other tests, so this might be another part of that.
Wasn't there an extra verbose command that we could add? Or
There is. I can throw that in there and see if it gets us any more information.
Okay, then yeah. Have the status. So this is then waiting for changes, most probably. We have one approval here.
I think the caching here makes sense. I'm a little worried that there isn't an easy way for a user to disable or to bust this cache. 24 hours, a default expiry of 24 hours seems reasonable. I haven't looked at the implementation of that, but it would be, feels like it would be helpful to be able to force an expiry without having to go onto the Bosch VM and delete the file off disk. I don't know if that's a feasible change. This isn't really a pattern I think we have in the CPIs, so.
But isn't it a bit scary? It says the CPI logs are getting very large and unreadable. Isn't then the CPI logs gets useless at this point then?
Yeah, I think you're saying the log size is an issue. Ramon, you're super quiet.
Sorry.
I would agree. I think the truncation is okay. I'm not thrilled. I don't know that if we're doing the caching, maybe it makes sense to only log on the first request rather than truncating, because it seems helpful to have that data in there. But very unhelpful to have that data in there 500 times.
So
Would be useful to at least log that the cache is being used and where the file is located, but maybe it's doing that. Right, so that you can see, like, as an operator, right, when using this and there's issues, I would go look at the CPI logs and then like seeing that there's a file being used that is, I don't know, like if it's in the debug CPI logs, that would be useful, right? Because that otherwise, like, how are you gonna even discover that this is being done? Right? Ideally, CPI calls should be how do you say, stateless, right? Like there should be no state from one CPI invocation to another.
Mm-hmm.
So this is breaking that pattern. So we'd need to be, yeah. Like, are we even like concerned about race calls? What's got a race condition? What's gonna happen if the CPI is being invoked like multiple times? It's just multiple things write to the same file, right? And you're not getting a read. So it should be fine, maybe. Right, like these CPI invocations are happening in parallel, right? There's gonna be 32 VMs being created at the same time. And like on the initial call, they are all gonna try to populate the cache because the cache doesn't exist. And they're all gonna roughly succeed at the same time. And then all are gonna try to write that file.
Yeah, that's another issue.
So we need another review here, so to say. Should I assign you Aaram to that? Do you want to? Oh, Ramon is.
Yeah, I can do it. Could we also I think we can long approved, but he's out of Cloud Foundry. He left Broadcom, so that might not be super interesting. Brian Upton would be a good person if we could add on here, because he has probably the most experience on Azure of anybody on our team at least.
Worked with Azure CPI for a very long time, so.
Yeah.
Is my voice, by the way, better now, or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
You're
a Zoom
more
update.
auditable. Like I can hear you better. I don't know about your voice, mate.
I can. Should we add some of our points we mentioned here? I just can say this comment, the change here regarding.
I'm looking at the code. It seems to handle like not being able, like if it's not able to read the data, it will just go and fetch it again. It's just not gonna be really efficient in that regard, but that's fine. It will eventually resolve itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it's really worth it, the caching, right? Because like, how many times are you actually gonna hit it? I mean, if you're creating like, if you're updating a whole environment, you're rolling out a stem cell, you're probably gonna hit it a lot, right? Because then the cache is warm during the rollout. Yeah, so I think it makes sense for that.
It could be also an option to start without cache if we see that this has implications, then introduce a cache. Yeah, hard to judge.
I mean, the error handling is, I think, sufficient, so we can try with a cache.
Okay, but yeah, we can maybe check next time. Another perspective from Brian.
Yeah, I just added the version.
So this is now done with.
That's just the documentation exactly.
Yeah.
Two PRs, the implementations are done. I was wondering where to add the version. At the end, I just added it in the extra argument, which is actually the only difference between version 2 and version 3.
And it should not be used in version, but from version.
From class or something that from.
Yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Or equals greater than.
Yeah.
Okay,
Can do that.
you want to do that now? Okay.
I'm doing it now. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
second.
can check. Here. So we have now 3 approvals. Okay, then we can merge this one.
Yeah.
This should be also ready for merge. This just Most probably don't this go. Yeah. You have one approval. Okay.
It's just an addition, right? The next to the job name. He will just put some random characters after. Yeah.
Yeah. Generate job name errand. Yeah. Random string. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, this is already if you want to merge it, it's also
Let me check. So.
Squash and commit. I would squash it, but
You waited for me to merge everything here. This two we checked already, I think, at GitHub Action for Lim. This was the one with Windows.
yeah, that was the Windows one.
Yes, and the other one. It was. We have an approval from Ruben, change request from.
So I think that change has happened. I think Nader just hasn't had a chance to re-review.
So then should we? Yeah, you updated 16 hours ago. Yeah. So, should we merge or should we wait for?
No, merge. It's, he updated. He did what?
Yeah.
It's just a test.
Yeah. A pending review, still pending review here, direct factory complex. I think we discussed this 3 weeks ago. This is also still pending review.
Why is that still pending? Because wasn't that so like it's not the best thing, but we just don't document it and just add it in there? Wasn't that the thing what we agreed on?
Is this still the what you are waiting for? Or?
Seems a little strange to me.
Yeah, this whole PR was a little bit strange, but then several people said it's useful for some development purposes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering how much more useful this is than like this seems like maybe there's just a resistance to using Git LFS or something, like the
The
way
problem
that
the problem with
oh,
GitLFS is you run over your, if it's for personal account, you run over that very quickly
sure.
if you don't pay more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But think about the kickbacks we're gonna get from GitHub if we block this PR.
So then we first need to set up an agreement with GitHub.
I think what gives me pause about this is it feels like it doesn't fit well with the pattern of how blob stores work in general, because of the ephemeral nature of just just pulling in some random upstream
But
URL.
it's no longer doing that, I believe. Like the original thing, it got like we changed the course a bit, I believe.
Okay.
Right. So basically, it just became like, can we keep the ref? I don't know if it's actually still fetching it, but like it will have the blob. So we're verifying that a blob, the origin, like at final release creation, that the origin blob SHA matches what we have in our blob store. So it's like just adding a additional check, like that you know that the integrity of your thing you're building is correct.
Okay. I guess if we're recording the upstream checksum,
I think we're capturing the source URL or something, and then like fetching the blob, calculating the SHA-sum, and then also checking that with what we have in our blobs.yaml. I think that's not a bad feature to have.
sure. Sure.
But yeah, still waiting for any updates here.
No, we're waiting for reviews, right? So it's basically people need to go look at it, because he has made a commit after I commented.
Oh, okay. Because I saw no comments here, that's why I
No, but there's a commit there, right?
assumed last month.
So it would be good for the people that are assigned to.
Last month.
No, like you can look. It's in the timeline, right? Like after
Oh,
if
yeah.
you look at the conversation, you see the commits.
27 March 27th was the last one.
But it shows up in the conversation, like here. You see
Ah,
that in the
okay.
timeline. There it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I see. Okay, then.
And
Yeah, I'll
the
take a look.
conflict should be fixed, but that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can take a look at it. I'm wondering if we can get away with without even having the validate blobs, because if we make it so that Bosch always validates, like checksums the blobs when we do a sync, then that's probably good practice anyway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I miss
but-
that, right? Like blobs are such like a black box. You don't know where they came from, right? And like capturing that, I think, is quite a useful thing.
I will assign you as reviewer then, Aaram.
I should not have opened my mouth.
It's clear that you have not attended these meetings enough. You are not like you. There's certain times that you need to shut up, right? Otherwise, you get it assigned to you. Takes
Sure, we
practice.
had
You'll
Ruben
get
back
there.
on.
Okay. I heard I want to look into that, and then
I heard it as well. Loud and clear. It's also recorded, right? The beauty of this meeting.
I just want to keep the recording and the state in Zoom. also still pending review here. Should we ping someone or
Oh, now a month ago, so
Yeah, I
Chris?
think
Chris is still active. Yeah.
Chris is still active. I think the CPIs that will be impacted by this, and again, like I said in the last meeting, the impact won't be direct because or won't be immediate because the existing Bosch underscore common will probably live forever in Ruby gems. And the structural changes that are going to be ejected from the Bosch director code base will be Bosch dash common and more conventionally namespaced in Ruby. But in order to pick up future changes, the OpenStack, AWS, and Azure CPIs will need to be updated to pull this distinct gem once the eventual work to build an independent pipeline or to extract the code from Bosch director and build an independent pipeline is done. So this is kind of the first step in a multi-step process. It isn't really it isn't going to impact any existing CPIs, but it would make it very hard once this lands and before there's an independent pipeline for us to propagate Bosch common improvements to the CPIs without going back in time to look at a different structure. But that's probably not a big deal. I don't think we've released an update in more than a year, and that update process was entirely manual and ad hoc previously.
I'm just wondering how this is gonna affect the CPI v3 stuff, right? Because we just introduced that. Wouldn't these CPIs need to bump?
I don't think the
gem?
CPI v3 touched anywhere in Bosch common.
I see. So it should be fine.
should
I
we
think
create an issue in each CPI?
I think it's in the Bosch. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I think should we create an issue for each CPI that they for the future they need to get to Bosch dash common instead of Bosch underscore common?
There will be this is step one of basically 3 steps. So the first step is to reorganize internally to the Bosch director code base. The second step will be to create a separate repo called Bosch-common that will have this gem, build a pipeline, and begin publishing it. And then the third step will be to incorporate that.
Okay, but there's a over. Is it internal from Broadcom or is it somewhere in our GitHub for an issue that?
Sorry, it's internal to the Bosch director code base.
Oh, okay.
So it's being tested as part of Bosch in CFF concourse.
Would be good to maybe have an issue where we have these 3 steps so that we can link that also we know what's going on and then refer to it in different places. But that's not a blocker, but just like now that you've explained the process, maybe put it in an issue.
Yeah, I'll put that in an issue in Bosch, and then we can link any Ruby
PR.
CPIs.
Yeah,
definitely.
maybe that we have some for in the future when we forget about it again, maybe we can reference it back.
And there'll need to be a repo created. Maybe is that just a PR to the community, or is there some other process
PR
that needs
to the
happen?
community. PR to the community, and that one can also then link back to that issue, right? To explain why we need it.
Yeah.
And the creation is then automatic when the PRs get merged.
Cool.
But we never forget anything. We have the recording, so.
We're all definitely.
Okay, but yeah, sounds reasonable with the issue to check. Okay. Okay, there we talked about this one. Yeah.
I added some notes at the end, just capturing the concerns we had.
Writing review.
We can just look at it, right? What is it? It's just actions and tests.
Yeah, this is really just actions and tests. The harder one to add is going to be for the Bosch IO worker code, because that's very much not not go module safe. Yeah, mostly this is just no lint stuff on here. Most of the idea being it
Saying it looked like a
with-
lot, but it
Yeah.
isn't.
Yeah.
So only
No lint check and probably some replacement of VS Code or whatever.
Yeah.
and the GitHub Actions, the two GitHub Actions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the goal in doing this is to make it a little bit more transparent for folks who might need to contribute. I found that a lot of times looking at PRs, we'd end up approving them and then running them through RCI and stuff would break. So having both lint and a basic unit test in place for as many of the repos as we're dealing with as possible seems just like a lowers the barrier of entry for people wanting to contribute.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
I have looked at that common rename, the Bosch common thing. Looks good to me as well. Like it's just a rename, right? Like it's moving a bunch of stuff and namespacing a bunch of stuff. So I think that one is also good to merge.
Okay.
For this one also change review.
Yeah, we can merge this one as well. It's just
Yeah.
it's only IOWeb.
So easy here, too much
What
stuff.
what could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, no.
What was it?
Oh, it's pending. It's now in the last column.
Yeah, there's the extract Bosch template.
What's the,
So you want to merge this?
Yeah, like it's not gonna be good if we wait because then you're gonna like have trouble with rebasing, right? So and it's just like a lot of renaming, like introducing common, moving some things around.
Yeah, okay.
Makes sense.
is it fine, Aaram?
I think we can merge it.
I mean, like Aaram wants his backdoor in the code base, so he will definitely say yes.
I'm okay with merging it. I'll go ahead and create the issue right now and then link it to this PR.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
What is that sudo root create SSH?
That's down in the tests in here. You can see it in the base 64 blob that's there.
Nice.
Okay, up again. Too much. I think this is the last one. Don't package much.
Yeah, I didn't look at it. Last time we said that it's broken. So I didn't have time to look at it. I was just wondering about the insecure skip verify. What's the next action there? That's the top first one in the pending review column.
There is no review, just there was a comment from Kenneth. So we need to review.
Yeah, we just need a review, but like, shouldn't we ping the reviewers at this point, right? It's a month.
Yeah.
Feels like they might think that the conversation is still ongoing, but
Yeah, okay.
and there's a question like, have you considered separating the library? That's not something we want to do right now, I believe.
Does it mean Kenneth defunct?
He's left the org.
I saw
Oh, he also moved. Okay.
yeah, I saw a PR that Kenneth wants to get removed. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other one we walked into. And was tech support for iOS infrastructure.
I think this is kind of still work in progress.
Yeah, they're still working on this. I had discussions with the username Pinball.
Wait, that's me.
Yeah.
Which one? I can't see it, sorry. It's the one with IPv6 for Terraform?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So the kind of idea here is that the Terraform change is now complete, as in if you do enable the dual stack flag, it will actually deploy the infrastructure stuff with IPv6, but it will not break anything if you don't. And we want to do a separate PR that would then actually hook up all of the variables to put them into the Bosch ops files that Bosch can actually be deployed. But this is something that we depend on Felix's work for the Bosch director to actually be able to accept those. So we could consider this as ready for either review or for merging or whatever. It works, but it's hard to verify. So maybe the question is, how do we proceed here?
Yeah, review. Review and someone test it.
Given that we can't really test end to end until we have the director changes, does it make sense to just block this on those?
Isn't it the chicken and
I mean,
egg problem here for them?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I'm comfortable with making the change if folks would like to do that. I guess my only concern is a little bit of churn in the repo if we find out once the director changes land that these aren't quite right, and then we have to go back and
Right.
PR this.
So
This is
mostly the second PR that will come might be the churny one, because this first one is now basically exposing Terraform outputs or making them, right? And the
Right.
next one would actually consume them and put them into place. And this is where I see more of the massaging, maybe, where I would also want a lot more tests and so on. Whereas the infrastructure change itself is just a fundamental base thing. And if there were anything that still needs changing for IPv6 specifically, that I would see that also maybe as part of the second PR if we really do find something that is broken.
Cool.
But this PR now, as it is now, should basically not break anything before v4.
Yeah, I wasn't concerned about it breaking. I was mostly just concerned about the churn. But if there's an expected second step
Yeah.
of wiring this up,
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
fine to merge. I know
Is this is this optional, right?
This is completely optional. Yeah, you need to. This is also something we still need to describe, but you need to add a TF variable that is called dual stack to and set it to true, and then it will do the magic of enabling IPv6 on the VPCs and provide the outputs. Otherwise, the output should be exactly as it was before. The colleague did it quite nicely that the value is completely removed from the TF state if this dual stack variable is not set.
Okay, so we had this thing which called like we did it these things mostly with patches, I think, right? Did we abandon that? I don't know.
The thing is that this is in the basic fabric of everything that we need to touch somehow. There's something with IPv6 to be enabled for AWS. So a patch might be harder, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, no. I'm just that we have some proper that the way how you execute the bootloader basically stays the same. Not that we have some weird flags that we normally don't have.
Right. It's not well. Right now, because we need something for the CF deployment team to deploy a pipeline for testing some IPv6 stuff. This would be now the first. Basically, you do a bubble plan, change a variable, and then do a bubble up. That would be the current process. It's not a flag per se. So it's not a flag on the bubble command line.
But how would it differentiate between IPv4 and IPv6 then? Or it will always create now an IPv6?
It will, so because this is dual stack, it will do both. So it will keep the IPv4 that you have already and will add IPv6.
Yeah, for
to the VPC.
Always by default now.
No. By default, it will retain just v4. And if you enable the dual stack flag in the TF variables, then it will also set IPv6 siders on the VPC.
Oh, you did it like that. Okay.
It looks like you want to put a review, Ramon.
Yeah, we need to review on it. I understand what they try to achieve now.
Maybe it will be great if at least the description describes what is the change.
Yeah, we finalized the change as it is. Well, there was some back and forth also, but that was like half an hour ago maybe. So yes, we will update the description. I will ask the colleague to update the description.
Yeah, and set me as reviewer.
Already done.
Of course you did.
It's just automation when the record, when the voice. I
Yeah.
have audio.
AI in the background. like,
Yeah, just
if any questions about a PR, you get assigned.
So you already provided a review here, Aaram.
Yeah, I'm fine with the change. Does seem like maybe linking proprietary docs here is not great, but I don't. That's if folks are okay with that, given that they're maybe going to go away or we don't have any control over it, that just seems a little bit odd for us to be linking to proprietary docs outside of OSS, but
Yeah.
But it was already a proprietary link, right?
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm maybe just thinking perhaps we should drop that 92 completely. Otherwise, I
There
don't.
is open source, an open source hardening, stem cell hardening release, I think, maintained by SAP, but
Yeah,
maybe we should point you to that, but yeah.
that seems possibly better. Otherwise, I don't have any objections to this. I'm super fine merging this.
I mean, it's going from a broken link to at least one that works. So
Yeah,
at least for now. The
yeah.
velocity of docs links at Broadcom changes are quite high, so I don't have a lot of confidence
Yeah.
this will be there for very long.
So you need
Yes.
to check the link now.
It can't get worse than it was, so it's fine.
So otherwise, it was okay to change only the.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We need to review here.
Can ask Copilot.
Maybe it does better with. Okay.
Look, 2 reviews. And that's how you game the system.
So from inbox to merged, we should remove this status change. Reintroduce fpic. So Ahmed, do you have context?
In the call, I think.
Hmm?
Hello. Yeah, so we did, so it does not work without this flag, to keep it short. And I checked with a colleague why we need this, and he mentioned that it has also security reasons. Not an expert in that. I only reintroduced it for the compilation of Ruby and not for YAML, because compilation for YAML somehow works as it is. Not sure, and it always fails for us in this configure or in the make then afterwards if we don't have these flags there.
Didn't
And
we
we also-
remove this like a few months ago?
Yes, I also wanted to ask. This was Aaram.
Or-
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was
Because
removed a
we
few
couldn't
months ago.
compile it anymore.
The main reason for removal is that if we set C flags at all, it obliterates all of the C flag settings inside the Ruby compile configuration,
That
and
was
most
the case.
notably, it removes the optimizations passed to GCC, which is why we saw such a dramatic difference between Clang and GCC compiled Rubies, because Clang's defaults internally behave differently than GCC does. So if we absolutely have to add fpic back, we need to make sure we pass all the appropriate GCC compile flags for optimization. Otherwise, we'll end up with a 30+% performance penalty on the Ruby binary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So make sure that it keeps the currency flags.
Right. So I think
Inside,
probably
okay.
the experiment to do, and then this will mean ongoing maintenance, is to look at what flags get passed to the Ruby compile underneath all of this if C flags isn't set, and then make sure that we extract that set and add fpic to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Can't we like get fpic through a configure flag? Can't we pass something to configure so that it sets additional flags?
That's what we check. That's what we check. It's called -- enable shared. But then actually it took very long for us to compile at least the AWS CPI. It took like 17 minutes instead of usually it takes like I think 10 minutes with these flags.
But is it faster if it runs? That's
That
the
we did not
question.
check.
Because like compilation time is in the end not that big of a problem if it is faster at runtime, right?
Mhm. Yeah, we only check the compilation
Because
time.
like if you're doing a bunch of optimization, that could result in a longer compilation time. Like that's not per se a problem.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
rather have
Good
it
point.
be compiling a
point.
long time and then really be really fast, right?
I think it was pretty well documented in the PR where we removed this flag.
Yeah, I was looking for that one. Let me search.
Sorry, I did not link it. It's basically enclosed. Yeah.
Yeah, here I found it. Flex. Yeah, it's this one.
And what was the clear reason why we need this?
If C flags is set, then all of the optimization flags that are passed to GCC
Yeah,
get lost.
I know, but what is the FIC what does it do? Why do we need it?
So it's about the PIC stands for position independent code, and I'm guessing that in some cases or in all cases this is necessary because we're relocating the binary that we're building for Ruby. This is just total wild guess. But I don't know for sure. It's surprising to me that this is required, but I have heard that Ruby is sensitive to being executed from a location that it wasn't compiled to, which might be why this PIC flag is required.
So basically it's only for security reason. There is nothing else whatsoever.
I'm not sure of that. I know that it is partially about security measure, and I think it may be interacting with some internals of the way that Ruby is compiled that makes so the error makes me think that the Ruby binary doesn't like being executed from a location that it wasn't compiled at or compiled to. That it has trouble with linking, and that something about the position independent code makes the binary less sensitive to its location on disk with respect to linked libraries. But this again is pure speculation on my part.
Okay.
So where does this fails when you run locally or Felix?
In this OCI image, it fails. I cannot tell. We
Okay.
are not sure why. Yeah, the colleague just mentioned they need this because it's a security issue, if not, but not really too sure about that.
Okay, so that means you will check against on this.
And then we can check with the enabled shared flag. Maybe we can do some benchmarking. Yeah.
It would be nice if we just figure out if you can just append this or if there is a separate flag for just this that we can abuse instead of overriding C flags.
Yeah, I think as Ruben mentioned, if we can pass it as part of the configure step, that might do it. And then I think Ruben, your observation that possibly the longer compile time is due to the fact that the optimization passes take longer.
Okay.
So not
Yeah.
necessarily a bug.
Yeah. Okay. Then we'll try it with that again.
Okay, we are done with the PRs. Promotions. We have so I was on vacation, didn't have time to check here. Oh, there is a conflict. I can try. Okay, I will try to resolve by myself. If not, then I will Oh, Joseph, unfortunately.
He is not allowed to move from this list for the next coming 4 months, as we have but agreed upon.
Yeah, I don't
He
think
should
we should
still be
approve this.
contacted.
We will wait with the merge then for 4 months. So. There is no crying. And the last one, there was another one, I don't see that. Alex, he wanted to get the review, huh? That one got much most probably by some. Okay.
Yeah, you already approved it.
Yeah, and you
So-
merged that one. I was waiting for the.
Oh, for the meeting. Yeah, there were 2 approvals, so I thought merged it.
Okay, I will check the.
Should be in the done column. Because I
Cool.
did add it to the board first.
Mhm. Okay, IPv6. Alex is gone. Or someone else put here IPv6?
I'm still here, but that
sorry.
was also. I think that was mostly there for the PR from Felix.
Mhm.
Yeah, we discussed last week already a little bit with Aaram. He gave some valuable feedback already. But yeah, there's a feedback, a draft PR, sorry, in the Bosch Director. Yeah, maybe someone has time to take also a look at it and have some feedback on the overall concept. We try to establish. Yeah.
Where is the PR?
And the Bosch Director.
And it's in draft.
Yeah. So 2 weeks ago, we discussed this approach where we just let the AWS CPI do the allocation or let AWS do the allocation. Exactly the first one. And now we try to basically have the Bosch Director take care of the allocation of these prefixes. And as it was done before, the Bosch Director should take care it does not overlap with any static or reserved IPs. Yeah, it should do some basic checks if everything is configured correctly. And yeah, to set this up, our idea was to introduce a new parameter called prefix in the subnet section of the networks. And basically, yeah, you can then split up your kind of the range you defined into multiple ranges of the size of the prefix. Yeah, so and instead of attaching a single IP, the CPIs should then attach these prefixes.
Mhm.
But yeah, to make it backward compatible, we introduced a new field prefix in the RPC interface of the create VM method called prefix. So it will just be provided there, and all CPIs that are not yet compatible then will just ignore this field. So in that regard, we try to take care that it's compatible also with older CPI versions that don't have this enabled. Yeah.
Okay, then. So, Aaram, you are on this. Should we make people aware of this to get more feedback?
I mean, first it needs to go from draft to a normal PR, right? And then people we can assign reviewers.
Okay, yeah, then we'll make sure to probably mid next week put it out of draft.
Yeah.
But if there's already something beforehand, if someone has something, then it might be easier to put in the feedback now than later, if something already comes to your mind.
If you want to like get awareness for it, like visibility, maybe link it in the issue, right? We have an issue that we're tracking IPv6 implementation in the community repo. Maybe if we link this one from.
That's in there already.
Oh, it's in there
I'm
already.
maintaining a list of all of the PRs that are somewhat related to IPv6,
Yeah.
and all of those PRs are already in there. Didn't really help much with visibility so far, though.
No, but we're just showing it at least on screen every time during our TOC meetings, right? We go over these.
Cool. Yep.
So,
I mean, it's a comment that has all of the links because I didn't create the issue, so you need to scroll down a bit. But
yeah.
Oh, maybe I can link, or maybe Beyhan, you can link to that comment in the description, just so it's not overlooked.
Sub issues or something, right? Or I don't know.
No, there isn't.
Sub issue we cannot use for PRs.
It doesn't work across repos.
It works only for issues somehow. PRs you cannot.
Oh, PRs then work.
Yeah. But my understanding is that you are looking for more feedback here from Bosch people, right?
Yes.
You can put maybe in the Bosch dev Slack channel. Just we are looking for feedback. Just a link.
Yeah, that seems
there's
good.
no-
I'll mention it to the team internally as well.
Yeah. About the approach, so to say, before you make this. But yeah, later we will get review.
Yeah, if this general concept of putting the prefix into the subnets, or maybe put it somewhere else, we put it in the manifest under the network section, or
maybe you can write some questions and ask in the dev channel. So the questions.
Okay. Yeah, then I will just summarize those.
Yeah. Okay, we are over time. I think we can close here and then check the issues next time. Or do you want to go over the issues?
No, I need to drop.
I need to also. So then take care and see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye bye.
See ya.